What happens when you meld the zany world of an anime harem show with something like 90s teen lit? Well, let's talk about it after the title. Hey guys, and welcome to Trash with a capital T, where we give trashy books and movies the love they truly deserve, and some deserve more than others. I'm your host, Bobby. New videos are posted here every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So, I have been reading a lot of 80s and 90s teen fiction lately, and you guys have seen the reviews for those. I've also been introducing anime and manga into the channel. I'm going to warn you right now, I'm going to alternate between manga and manga. My brain does not know, I don't know why, it just switches between the two, like my Midwestern flat A's decide to come out, but sometimes it's like, ooh, let's sound like my pinkies up and say manga. But I've been trying to introduce it into the channel more. And I have a bunch of books that I'm reading at any one time. And I'm currently reading another. I'm not done with this, so this is not the review for this. I'm currently reading this book. So I'm going to continue with the 80s and 90s teen fiction. But I also am reading another book. I'm over halfway through it. And I have the first book here. This is not the one I'm reading. And that is actually a light novel series. So for those who are not familiar, light novels are serialized novels that they come from Japan, although there's a whole market of American light novels. And there's a lot of people who write in that format now, but it originates serialized fiction from Japan. Usually lighter, although not always. Looking at you, Goblin Slayer. I'm also looking at Torture Princess. There's some other ones. But these are done to be read serially, and they have long-running stories. That's kind of one of the factors in there that's a little more important. And I've been reading the second book in this series. It's a series that I truly love. And the second book is not my favorite arc in this series, but that's beside the point. But I thought it kind of fit with where I'm at right now in the channel, because it reads like 80s and 90s teen fiction, but it blends in a heavy dollop of horror, but also brings in some of, I like my good ecchi anime and stuff like that. And it brings in a lot of aspects of that. Specifically, a genre I actually don't love too much of, but I think works really well here, is the harem anime type. And that is High School DxD, or High School D. I don't know how it's supposed to be said. It's this. And this is the light novel series. There is a manga series. There's also several seasons of the anime series. I actually, I've seen most of the anime. I absolutely adore it. I love it. I think it's funny. I love the characters, the art style. And the light novels really do carry that over, but you do get a little more depth with the light novels because it is a book. And you can get into the main character Issei's head a little more. So the general gist is we follow a high school student named Issei, who everyone kind of considers a big old pervert. Boy loves boobs. A lot. Like really, really loves them. But to his defense, he does not try and grab people inappropriately. He doesn't try and spy on people or do any of that stuff. He's just an admirer of boobs. He also is a loser who would love to have a girlfriend. He has friends. He has, he's a fairly normal teenage boy, straight teenage boy. And one day he gets asked out by this truly beautiful girl at his school. And he's blown away that she would even look at him. But he agrees to go out with her because why pass up the chance? Well, turns out it wasn't such a great idea, because that young lady turns out to be a fallen angel who's trying to kill him because he has something called a sacred gear. And he almost dies. She almost completes her mission. But he is saved at the last minute by his other classmate, Rias, the redhead right here. Rias Grimmery, who is actually a, what is she? Is she a queen? Yes, she's a demon queen for the Grimmery family. And she is going to make Issei one of her demons and have him join her family, or her familia. Because as you see, all of these families have kind of a battle team that is structured after chess. And she has spots that she needs to fill. And because Issei has this sacred gear, he could be very useful on her team. The problem is he is crap at fighting, but he has a good heart. And she sees a lot of potential in him. Also, she kind of has the hots for him. So he gets sucked into the world of demons, fallen angels, God, all of that stuff. And he learns that there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Now, High School DxD really does, which is what I'm just going to call it moving forward. I think it is D by D, or it might just be DD. Maybe if it's a reference to boobs. I don't know. It does lean more into comedy, but there are truly some horror moments in here. It's interspersed. It's written by Ichiei Ishibumi. I butchered that name, I can guarantee you. But I like his writing style. It is light, but he really gets the voice of, in its first person, it gets the voice of Issei down. And he creates a character that, while horny, is still a likable guy. I'm not going to call him a nice guy. Because the nice guy trope is, it's this guy who has expectations of women. That if he's nice to them, he will do stuff for them. That is not this character. He is just a generally, like, as horny as he is, he treats people with respect. And he does understand the concept of consent and respects it. That's actually something, I remember, I haven't gotten to this point in the book, and I actually don't know if this will come up. But it came up in the anime where one of the other male characters is talking to him. He's like, why don't you just use your power and grab these girls? And he's just like, no, there's no joy in that. It is only when a woman consents to you being able to touch her, to pleasure. Like, and he has this whole monologue about it. And I was like, oh, damn. Something that some people need some remembering on. But Issei as a character is actually quite enjoyable to read. He is not always horny. He is actually a pretty decent guy. And as he gets involved in everything, you see him really step up to be there for the other members of Rias's family, of her group, her familia. And yes, this does eventually become a harem type story where he starts to basically have all of these female characters falling for him. But it doesn't start out that way. It takes time for it to get there. The other reason I really like this series is the author likes his female characters. And I can't believe I had to say that, but I do. He likes his female characters. He sees them as characters. He gives them fully rounded backstories separate from Issei. They have lives separate from Issei. They have strengths that don't always have to rely on Issei. Actually, especially in these early chapters, he is much weaker than all of them. But they are fully rounded characters. They are not just jiggly boobs. And that is actually one of the reasons I don't generally like harem stories or reverse harem stories. Because when you have a large group of characters who are going to fall in love with the lead, they tend to be very tropey. And very caricature-y. And that is really avoided here because, one, the series is very long. I think we're up to like book 19 in the American release, but it is a long series. So the author takes a lot of time to develop the backstory of these characters, and the backstories are interesting. They give the characters depth. And because we're in Issei's head, we see how he views them, and you see the respect that he has for the women around him. It's not in this one, it's in the second one. But there was this whole conversation he has with Rias where she's talking about her identity and why she likes being in the human world, because in the demon world, she is Rias Grimmery. She is this important figurehead in this very powerful family. And in the human realm, she is just herself. She is her personality. She is who she wants to be. People look at her as just a person. They don't attach all of this weight to who she is. And he has this, because we're in Issei's thoughts, he's thinking about this. He's like, I never have to consider that. I'm always just me. Most of the time, people don't even regard me. I don't have to worry about having all of these expectations put on me. And I can't imagine the pressure that she's constantly under. And that was one of those things that made me really want to do this video too, because I love the way it's written. And in a genre like this, it does come up sometimes where it feels like the author does not like their female characters. They almost feel like they're punishing them. I've seen shows and read books like this where there's a lot of time to spend on these characters being either shrews, and they're always bad-mouthing or picking on the main character. And I know there is kind of a trope towards that, especially when it's the childhood best friend, or they're battling each other. That's the other thing. The female characters in this series actually seem to like each other, and they have friendships, and they're not constantly just trying to stab each other in the back because of penis. They're there for each other. And I enjoy that because when I read something like this, I want my characters to feel rounded. I don't care if this is something where there are eventually going to be throwing themselves at the main character, or there's going to be sexual situations, or it's there to be kind of sexy. I don't care. I want the characters. If I'm going to read 20 books, I want the characters to have development and be fully rounded characters. I'm not there for the boobs, obviously. So when I first saw the anime series, that's what kind of drew me in, was the fact that, like, oh, this series respects the women that it's telling stories about. Yes, they do show up naked a lot. That's the type of show it is. But they spend just as much time clothed and are respected as characters. And Issei, as a character in the books, shows them that respect. And I can't believe I'm harping on this so much, but I do kind of feel like it's something that is really one of the reasons I fell in love with this series. Because I don't have to worry about these characters being cardboard cutouts, I can become absorbed in the world that the author is creating. And there's a lot there, and he does a good job of giving us information about this world without doing big info dumps. We learn as we need to. We learn as Issei learns because we're in his head. And you learn that there is this complex system that is driving everything within the demon world, and also dealing with the church on earth and with fallen angels and who are working with these rogue priests. And there's all of this complex stuff. On top of that, there are a bunch of horror movie Easter eggs slipped in here. Some of them more present than others. Namely, this character's name is Asia Argento. I think they pronounce it Asia in the dub. If you know anything about the actual Asia Argento, her name is pronounced Asia, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's Asia. But that was actually the other thing that made me go, oh wait, I need to watch this. I need to read this. I need to experience this, because I'm like, this guy is a horror nerd. I can tell. And it slips in there. There's this big battle in book 2, and two of the characters, they're like these two kind of cutesy schoolgirl characters who just have chainsaws that are going after the main character. And like, there's all these little bits in there. It is not a super horror focused series, but there are touches that make me happy. Yeah. And if you're curious about light novels, this is a pretty fun one. If you were old enough. I will say this series can get kind of not smutty. I haven't run into on-page sex, but the main character is really horny, and he talks about boobs a lot. And there is artwork in these books. I'm going to show you some of the stuff that's appropriate. But sometimes the art can be a little spicy too. I'm not talking pornographic, but I mean, they're boobs. Yeah. That's actually, there's literally little cartoon boobies in the design. So just be ready for those. But this kind of fits the trashy theme there. And it also has the fun of reading kind of a book like this. It's quick, it's fast, the characters are fun. And because this is a continuous series, although each book kind of has a set arc so far, because it's a continuous series, the characters are allowed to grow. So that is something I do appreciate. I do highly recommend checking out High School DxD. It's really, really fun. I think the anime is still floating around. It might be on Crunchyroll. But the books themselves, if you want to dive into light novels, this is a pretty nice entry point, because this is also fairly short. It's about 150 pages. The second book is longer, closer to almost 200 pages. But this is 162 pages, not counting the Afterword. With the Afterword, it's 167. I actually like the Afterword because it's just the author talking about his experience writing this book and starting the series. And it is interesting because I think he tried to start out as just more of a straightforward horror author, and the editor stepped in and was like, make it kind of sexy. Make it sexy. And he introduced that into the story well, in a way that didn't feel gross. Or at least, and maybe to my jaded self, did not feel gross. It might still be kind of offensive to some people, but can't please everybody. Okay, so highly recommend this one. And I'm going to ask this, because I am not super familiar with light novels. I have some experience. Obviously, I've read High School DxD. I think I read Devil is a Part-Timer. I think I read the first 2 or 3 books. I've read the first Sword Art Online book. But I really haven't explored a lot within the light novel realm. So if anyone watching this has any recommendations, drop them in the comments, because I am very interested. Now, I do understand that it's right now very is it isekai heavy, where it's a lot of characters getting reincarnated or transferred to fantasy realms. I don't hate those stories. One of my all-time favorite anime series is Fushigi, which kind of follows that trope, although that one is very old. But I'm curious about if there's any interesting ones out there. I currently have on deck Torture Princess, because I was looking for horror related ones. Oh, and I've read Boogie Pop and others. The first one, and I think I read the prequel. I have Torture Princess, and then I have, I'm not going to even say the whole title, but it's I Abandoned My Engagement Because My Sister's a Tragic Heroine. But I still became entangled with the Righteous Prince, I think is the name. It's a long ass title. It sounded really funny. So it sounded interesting and kind of fun and light, and I was looking for something light. So I have those two. But if you guys have any recommendations, let me know, because I'm always on the lookout for new stuff. And obviously on this channel, I kind of jump around in the genres and formats and all of that stuff that I cover. So who knows, we might be seeing some pop up in the future if I find anything I like. Other than that, it's just the normal housekeeping. So new videos, as I said at the top, are posted here every Sunday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. If you like what you saw during the video, give me a like. Helps the channel and makes me feel good. And don't forget to subscribe, because then you won't miss any of my wonderful content. Okay. And as I always try and say, and hopefully I don't screw up this time, love what you love, enjoy what you're reading and watching, and have an amazing morning, afternoon, or evening. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys. Ow.